Okay, so here we are. Well, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
So,
I'm Scott, engineering manager for Cervelo, and this is Brian.
Marketing director for Cervelo.
and there's a couple of Cervelo mountain bikes. So, that's what we're talking about, guys. Why is Cervelo into MTB now?
You can. So, a couple years ago, we felt like we were starting to see a trend of multidisciplinary riders. You can see this in riders, obviously, like Wout van Aert, like Tom Pidcock, like Matthew van der Poel, and we felt like that was a place that Cervelo could bring something to the table to be competitive pretty quickly. You know, we have a long history of frame design, lightweight frame design, and thought that
We could bring something to the table. That's yeah,
And you guys are riding mountain bikes already?
absolutely.
Yeah.
for many years.
So it's not a fresh game for either of you.
No. I think it's from an engineering point of view, there's things that we do really well as a brand, and I think these two bikes specifically are the right kind of step into mountain biking for the brand.
And these are properly race-focused bikes.
Absolutely.
So hardtail and full sus. But as you say, Brian, if you ride in Lycra, Cervelo have a bike for you.
Yeah,
And that's, I mean, to be fair though, I mean they're pretty dynamic bikes. Certainly the full sus.
Oh yeah,
It pushes. I think it'll surprise people with how kind of radical they are in the way they handle.
Yeah, I think
For 100 mil, that thing rips.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
We didn't want to bring a bike to market and have people go, road bike, mountain bikes, haha. You know, because we've both ridden those kind of bikes, and they're not fun, and they're not good bikes. I mean, they're probably fine bikes, but they're not enjoyable to ride. And I think the demands of modern XCO racing give you kind of a really nice starting point for a bike that should perform the way that these do.
Absolutely. And I think if you look at kind of the transition for our road line over the last couple of years, it's a similar thing. You don't have to compromise. We're in a almost, I think I said this in another podcast, we're in kind of the golden age of cycling at the moment, where you can have a fast, stiff, compliant frame that is easy to live with, and that's the same idea with these. The
cliche isn't a cliche; it's a reality.
Exactly, right?
It's not just me saying it anymore, it's him.
They're at the pointy end, definitely at the pointy end of the XCO scene, but they're still playful and they're still fun. And that's we cater to the pros. We have, as you probably know, we've signed Vader, and he will be competing with these bikes. But also, we need to sell bikes, so they need to be received. And not everyone that will buy this bike is a pro.
Or very few of them. The pros won't buy them. Let's face it. The pros, by definition, the pros.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But do you see these as bikes for someone who's already riding a Cervelo, or are you expecting people who kind of have no Cervelo background to be into the brand as well?
When we started, I think the idea was like, oh, we're going to make a mountain bike for the Cervelo customer. And for me personally, that's not a big enough goal. I think this is a mountain bike for anybody who values the traits that Cervelo brings, which is it's a good pedaling platform. It's a good lightweight frame. It's thoughtful. It's well designed. It's well executed. It's
fast.
It's fast. It's for anybody who likes to go fast.
Yeah.
Who cares what bike you ride right now? If you want to go fast, these are pretty good options.
Definitely. Yeah, it's the kick ass. Like I'm like you said, I think once you get on one, it'll surprise you with what they are.
So in terms of design cues, I mean, you say nothing came from the cross bike,
correct?
Because that's just an absolute blunt race weapon. That's
that's
harsh as hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's outside of our kind of normal operating procedure. That was obviously the request of who we have was necessary to facilitate that. And that is a 1 hour rocket ship, so there was no compromise.
Yeah, take no prisoners.
Exactly. There was nothing that we needed to compromise from a commercialization point.
Yeah.
It was like, if you want to buy this bike, it's there. It is what it is. It does what it says on the tin.
Don't you send us your chiropractor's bills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So definitely not the cross bike. For the hardtail specifically, we took a lot of what we learnt from that stiff pedaling efficiency from the Aspero, so the bottom bracket area. It's not identical, so one of the things to note with these two bikes is the 73mm BSA threaded bottom bracket.
But that's like, you say that's come from a T47?
Not this one.
Background?
No. These
Right,
two
okay.
are just conventional, the cross bikes T47.
Right, the cross bike's T47.
So
My bad.
essentially the same. The only difference is you're losing a bit of width, right? So
Yeah.
when you look at the cross bike, you want that wider platform like an R5 or an S5 where you have that oversized bottom bracket
Yeah.
and a material that's stiffer. We specifically went to the direction of 73 BSA. I think it's just a more usable system for this bike and it's better suited for this.
Yeah.
We were aiming for lightweightness from both frames, and I think there was too much of a compromise in aesthetic design to go from a oversized, even if it's a T47 BB right, throw
Yeah.
bottom bracket, to into the tube shapes that we need.
Yeah.
So outside of that as well, it's just BSA for mountain bike kind of makes sense. It's been done, it's been tested, it's easy to get components for, it's easy to get parts for, there's every person does a bottom bracket for it.
Yeah.
Being our kind of first step into this area of bikes, the least amount of disruption.
Yeah,
we
and in the
can't
same
control.
way, that's why you kind of borrowed the suspension hardware
Correct.
in terms of pivot points, etc.,
Yep.
off the Santa Cruz Blur, because obviously Santa Cruz partner brand,
Yep, sister brand.
Yep. Under the Pon umbrella.
Correct.
So,
yeah, as well as Focus, and now
so as headset comes off Focus, kinda
sort of. So we started.
the inspiration.
Correct. Yes. So it's not a it's our own headset. But we spoke with Focus and kind of fleshed out the idea with them.
Yeah.
Kind of gave them and they did the smell test and it was all good. Yeah, hard points on the dual suspension bike. We started as a baseline with the Blur. Santa Cruz was really helpful with that. Sent us the Giro, gave us kind of a 101 on suspension kinematics, and we went from there.
And hard points are what?
Essentially, the Giro and the Fit is unique. They're completely different.
Yeah.
But in an XY plane, with the bottom bracket being the origin, the distance and location of like the main pivot point, the seat stay pivot point, the upper link pivot point, and where the shock mounts are. So that in a Cartesian plane, if you sketch that out, those points started off as where they were. Everything else we kind of filled in place to what we needed the bike to be. I think you came up with a great term for what the Giro is. It's
Rationally progressive.
yeah. So it is on the dual suspension bike specifically. We this one is, I know it's built and rideable, but we're still a long way away from having a commercially available product. We still have a lot to do and a lot to learn.
Especially with the mainframe.
Exactly.
The rear end is close.
Close-ish.
I think he was saying.
Yeah. But like we said, Vader's going to be on it at Albstadt, so there's going to be great feedback from that. So it's
And you were
very
saying
much,
he's giving you a lot of feedback already.
Yeah,
he's really answering a lot of interesting questions.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've presented both these bikes over video conference to him months ago. I didn't realize he was on. No videos were working because the internet was really bad, and I didn't realize he was asking all the questions. I thought it was his mechanic, but it ended up being him. But yeah, a really knowledgeable rider, really beneficial for us, because sometimes you just get pros that like the bike and are good at riding, but they can't kind of tell you why. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, both hardtail. He's riding the hardtail currently. He's had that since the end of last year, I want to say.
Yeah.
So that's cooked. That's ready to go. But the dual suspension bike was still under development.
Yeah.
So
there will be some hardtails available, but full suspension bikes probably a year away, I think you were saying.
Yeah, so there's going to be about a couple hundred hardtails globally. Those will be built into complete bikes spread around the world. So there won't be very many anywhere, but there will be some. Then the full suspension bike and a proper commercial number of the hardtails will be available in spring of 23.
Sweet.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else we need to.
I mean, I've kind of covered off the geometry already, so
So both bikes, you can see, have rigid posts, so it'll come
Yep.
spec'd with the rigid post, but both fully compatible with droppers.
Yeah. And full internal routing through that headset system.
Correct.
That you
Both
covered up.
bikes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Twin bottle cages on both.
Correct. Inside the frame.
2.4-inch tire clearance on both.
Yep. Correct.
Lifetime warranty.
Yeah, they'll both
Just like the rest of our bikes.
exactly.
Yeah.
You mentioned the bearings, so the bearing kit, pivots and axles, collets and tapers and all that for the dual suspension bike are the same as the Santa Cruz, so that
Yeah.
will offer the same lifetime bearing warranty with that, replaceable bearing warranty.
Yeah.
And that
And-
was, sorry, go.
No.
I was going to
Crack
say, and
on.
that was a definitely a conscious decision, not the supply chain.
Yeah. Why make things hard?
Why make things hard? when
Yeah.
it's-
Those guys have been doing it a while.
Exactly, and it's bulletproof. When built properly, it's bulletproof. But yeah, because I know people complain, and they're like, "Oh, everything creaks." And you're like, no, build it as we tell you to build it. It doesn't creak.
Yeah.
And keep it clean. But yeah, so the very much the full suspension bike is still to everything is an asterisk on that. So
Yeah.
it is pretty, like, it's rideable, and obviously we've cut tooling and committed to this size, but it
Yeah.
can change. So
Yeah.
but yeah, the hardtail is fixed. at this
And
point.
weight on the hardtail, you say, stretches from about 830 through to about 890 from
Yeah.
small to extra large.
Yes, correct.
And then I've been prodding you for a target weight on the full sus.
Keep running.
Yeah. when I said 2K, you kind of looked, oh no, way lower than that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. It's definitely a lot lighter than 2 kilograms.
Yeah.
So
Because you've deliberately gone for quite a slim tube set.
exactly. Yeah.
You know,
So
based on the R5, you were
Yes.
saying?
Yep. So the transition we had from current R5 to previous R5 was a refinement of tube shapes and trying to bring the weight down. So we obviously had a really stiff frame on the previous one, so we kept that, and the ride characteristics the same. So we applied that to how we wanted these two bikes to feel. Bottom bracket area, like I mentioned, Aspero, but down tube, head tube, top tube, influenced by R5 and what
Yeah.
we learned from the R5.
And similar kind of composite layups and
Yeah, the hardtail is...
it's you're not bringing in a whole new construction method or new materials or anything like that.
No, it's a lot of the toughness that we built into the Aspero is in that, but it's a similar, not a similar layup, because it's obviously the shape's completely different, but a similar philosophy of layup
Yeah,
from the R5.
but because it's a slimmer frame
Exactly.
than the Aspero, it's actually significantly lighter.
Yeah, it is. So
So if
it's,
people did want to use this for gravel, I mean, I know you're saying this is purely race focused.
I mean, people are free to do
People
whatever
race
they
on
want.
gravel too.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. This would actually now be the lightest Cervelo gravel bike
Yeah, it's the
in
lightest.
terms of frame set. Anyway.
Yeah, it would be the lightest off-road, non-on-road bike that we would offer.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to really what we can bring to mountain bikes. It's the carbon layup, the frame design, all that stuff. It's not new to us. It's a different application of what we already do exceptionally well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the details. We have a brilliant industrial designer that tries to keep, really digs his feet in to keep a cohesive feel to the family, and a lot of that is from his experience.
Yeah,
across
because
the
there are
product.
some little signature touches. If you're a Cervelo owner, you'll look at the rear dropouts and things like that. And,
Exactly.
the way the stays on the hardtail aren't dropped,
Exactly.
things like
And-
that. That's
And it's mostly not aesthetic. It's they're there for a functional purpose. So whether that's on road or off road, there is still a function of that design. So
Yeah.
it's just like we pick what the necessary points are to best utilize it in an off road mountain bike condition. Like, okay, how do we apply this to this frame and frame design? So yeah, in a really quick overview of that.
yeah. Well, thanks very much. That's actually covered a whole bunch of it. So
Excellent.
yeah, I mean, obviously, if
Under the Tuscan sun. Is that
yeah. Yeah, this is the trouble. We've been talking for so long. We kind of were saying, "Oh shit, it's about to get dark. We
Yeah.
should have gone." We've been riding for 2 days, and then we were like, "Oh, I'd like to do a video," and then it's like, "Oh, probably, yeah, let's just go and get it done anyway."
Yeah.
But I mean, luckily I'm in contact with these guys. Well, unluckily for them, I'm in contact with these guys. So if you've got any comments or questions, then just get busy below the video and yeah, fire away. And we'll try and feed in what details we can. But like you say, there's an asterisk on everything on the full suspension.
On the full suspension. Yes.
But yeah,
Other than that, we're making one.
Yeah. And they're both fast.
Both damn fast. So yeah, well, I guess tuned Alpstadt onwards.
Yeah, you'll see them both. One of them at Alpha, depending on what.
See what Milan picks.
Exactly. Excellent.
Dude, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Cheers for your time. Cheers for inviting me on the launch. Well, make sure you watch both the live ride videos and make sure you watch the quick tech talk round on the full sus bike. Click for notifications so any more Cervelo news that comes up, because hopefully I'll stay in touch with you throughout the development program on full sus.
There's lots coming.
Yeah. Good times. So look, thanks for watching. Thanks to Giro Cycling for sponsoring the channel. Thanks to Peaty's and Crud. Thanks to my Patreon supporters. And click for notifications, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, like, and keep watching your Cervelo dealer, I guess. That's it. Reverses. Such a pro.
Wow, that was
Such a
like
pro.
selfie old man style.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look at me. Look at me. What are you expecting?
I was impressed.